Well, welcome to this presentation. My name is Michael Daniel, and as you can tell from my accent, I'm indeed from Down Under. I live in Melbourne, Australia, where I teach at an independent boys' school. And the subjects I teach include English and Latin. I have also in the past taught an introductory course in ancient Greek. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Plummer for the opportunity to do this presentation today, which will be on antique copies of the Old and New Testament Greek that are from my library that I've collected over the years. The first one I would like to show you is an edition of the Septuagint, that is the Old Testament in Greek. You probably can't see the writing in the spine, but it says Vetus Testamentum, which of course is Latin for Old Testament. And what I'll now do is share a copy with you of the title page, which provides us some further details about this edition. So what are we told? Well, we're told that it is based upon the Vatican edition of the Septuagint, published in 1587. This edition was published in Leipzig in 1835 and was edited by one Leander van Es. Now, Leander van Es was born in 1772, born Heinrich van Es, Johann Heinrich van Es. His name, Leander, was his religious name. He was a Benedictine monk and was a prolific biblical scholar, translating the Bible, first the New Testament, then the Old Testament, from the original languages into German. This edition, as we can see, is published in 1835. Now I would like to share with you a screen showing a page from this edition. As we can see, the chapters are denoted using the Greek alphabet. And if we look at the font, the typography is the standard modern typography. And as we can see, the lettering is extremely clear. Now, one of the things I also find fascinating about these old books is who their previous owners were. And we're told on the inside cover that the previous owner was a W.J. Philpotts, dated September 1861. I did find a likely owner online. There was a W.J. Philpotts who was an Anglican clergyman who was the Archdeacon of Cornwall from 1845 until his death in 1888. So I suspect that was probably the original owner. The next one I would like to show you is this little edition of the New Testament. Unfortunately, a date of publication is not given for this copy. However, the indications would suggest it is printed in the middle of the 19th century. If we bring up the title page, or rather the Monitum page, so the advice, we're told it's based upon a number of previous editions, including the Textus Receptus. We're also told it's based upon an edition by Joseph Jowett. Joseph Jowett was a Cambridge academic from the late 18th, early 19th century. And we're told that this particular edition was edited by Thomas William Mellor. Now, Thomas Mellor was an Anglican clergyman. He was a brilliant linguist, worked for the British and Foreign Bible Society for a number of years, and was responsible for translating portions or whole sections of the Bible from the original languages into various languages, including Maori and Fijian. I'll now bring up a page of the text. As we can see, as with the previous copy we saw, the chapters are denoted by the Greek alphabet. Again, the typography is similar to modern typography. And we also note at the bottom, there are various references to other sections of the Bible. Now, to bring up the front page of this work, we see that there is an inscription from the Bishop of Calcutta, Reverend George Cotton, to H.J. Wilkinson, February the 10th, 1861. Now, having a careful look at samples of Bishop Cotton's handwriting online, I'm almost but convinced that what we see here was in fact written by Bishop George Cotton. Bishop Cotton was born in 1813, died 1866. He was the Bishop of Calcutta from 1858 until his death in 1866. Prior to that, he had been an assistant master at Rugby and headmaster of Marlborough. H.J. Wilkinson, not 100% certain who this owner was. However, there is a Colonel Henry James Wilkinson I located on the internet, who was an officer in the British Army and also a prolific artist. It was his artworks that you can find online. Now, it's not inconceivable that a British Army officer could have read Greek, because in those days you had to buy your commission. So therefore, essentially, the officers came from wealthy families. Wealthy families sent their sons to English public schools, such as Rugby and Marlborough. And there the education was in the classics, mainly Latin and Greek. The last one I would like to show you today is this small little pocket edition of the New Testament. And you can see how small it is against my hand. Now, this one, we're told, is based on the text of Dr. Mill, edited by William Greenfield. Now, Dr. Mill has been described by some scholars as producing one of the most influential editions of the New Testament prior to that of Tischendorf in the 19th century. Dr. Mill lived in the 17th century. William Greenfield was a brilliant linguist. He worked for Samuel Baxter, and Samuel Baxter published a number of editions of the scriptures, particularly polyglot editions. The inscription here says that it was given to someone in 21, that's 1921. However, my suspicion is that this particular copy could be a lot older. Unfortunately, there's no publication date given on this one. What's particularly interesting about this one, and I'll bring up a page, is some of the typography, which is not the standard typography we would see in a modern edition. So, for example, we see this inverted hook for a tau, but again, this is not consistent because we see another tau up here as per the standard one. We see this abbreviation here that looks like a figure 8 with the top missing, which is an omicron and an upsilon, but again, not consistent because we see the standard ones immediately following. This K with what looks like a full stop after it, that's an abbreviation for Chi, but again, we see the word written out in full here. The other interesting use we see is the sigma, normally associated with the end of the word in the middle of a word. However, again, this is not consistent because we look up here and we see the standard sigma here. Well, thank you very much for listening to this presentation. You probably noticed as you saw various pages that I did in fact leave the original prices on. It never ceases to amaze me what you come across by searching through secondhand bookshops. In closing, there are my contact details. If you'd like to send me some feedback, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or perhaps any insights into any of the editions I showed you, again, I would love to hear from you as well.